We caught the first part of that. So, welcome to another Office Hours. This is Matt Vanveld here at vCloud Matt. That you just heard our infamous Andy Galea. Do you want to say hi, Andy?
Hi, Andy.
Ah, well done. That was the also nefarious uh, Will Rodbard, who's joining us again from our EMEA team. Want to say any words there, Will? He is also going to be. I'm throwing him under the bus now as well. He's going to be one of the ones hosting the EMEA hours, which is going to be tomorrow. What do we say? 10 a.m. Local time. Uh,
Yes, 10 a.m. Yeah.
10 a.m.
Morning, folks.
And then which would be 11 a.m. in the rest of Europe. So that's going to be tonight. And again, for everybody that hasn't been keeping up, kind of, we've had a lot of schedule changes and stuff like that, and I somewhat apologize for that. But we're going to be doing this Tuesday call is always going to be at this time. So every Tuesday, 8 a.m., you're going to have me or another member of the customer success team available to you to answer any and all questions you may have. We'll maybe go over some stuff, just discuss some things if we don't have any other questions, and kind of go from there. And then on Wednesdays, we're going to have the EMEA call, and then Thursdays is the APJ call. So we're going to try to cover all regions. We're still trying to figure out a good webinar schedule. So for anybody watching, again, you can email us at cloudcs@vmware.com or tweet at me at vcloudmatt or tweet at Will at Will Rodbard about what you feel would be best. And maybe this is a good question to ask the crew we have here too for the actual official webinar. So this is the office hours where we keep it very, very informal. Bring your questions. We'll discuss anything and everything. Whereas the webinars are more of a defined content, a little bit more presentation based, still interactive, still can ask questions, still have demos, those kinds of things. But what I found anyway is the time we put it when we do it at I think it's 6 p.m. Pacific time, which works for the APJ times. We've been getting fairly low-ish attendance, and I know people have been watching it on YouTube, and I appreciate that as well. But I'm trying to find a good time for that. I know that time excludes all of EMEA, so we're trying to find some kind of happy medium. I don't really necessarily want to keep doing the alternating thing because that kind of cuts out half the audience. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that around when a good webinar time is for the more formal content? And just for clarification, that'll be still every other week, so it'll still be a bi-weekly or bi-monthly. I know those terms are interchangeable and have different definitions, but we'll still be doing it every 2 weeks. It's just trying to figure out a good time to put it. So next week it's going to be at this time, and we're going to be covering HCX, which I know is a hot topic for everybody. So input is welcome. Hello to the Twitch chatter there. And I don't know, Andy, you're kind of good at this kind of stuff. What do you think is a good? I mean, I know it's impossible to kind of keep everybody happy, but is it good to keep alternating the EMEA to the APJ times, or I just don't know.
Yeah, another thought may be a late afternoon AMS time, which is the beginning of the APJ, if the EMEA APJ cutover doesn't work.
Yeah, so another thing we're also looking at as well going forward, just for everybody's edification, and that's kind of my word of the week, edification. Somebody kept bringing that up, and he was from the UK. Is that a common word out there, Will? It's not a very common American term. It's too English.
You know how we like to sound really intelligent.
Yeah, no, it does make you sound smart. That's why I keep trying to use it. But so we are also looking at adding a Japanese language webinar as well, because I know we're growing into the Japan region, and I know a lot of people don't necessarily speak English there. So that's one of the things we're looking at to kind of add some regional flavor to it. But yeah, I don't know. I just can't find a really good time for either of the calls. So we might keep with the format of doing one in EMEA time and one in APJ
What if
time.
I don't know if it'll complicate things, but what if we do it like a 3-week rolling schedule, so one in each time zone?
And that's that valid feedback that we could absolutely do that. Now, to that question, then, would it be the same content each week?
No, I guess The session's obviously available on Twitch later on, right? So that way it's a fair share. Everyone from some part of the world can make at least one session a month or every 2 months or however it gets scheduled, and then the rest are recordable. And then if people have follow-on questions that they can't watch the live session, they can tweet us, they can reach out to us via whichever social medium.
Yeah, so I think that's it's an interesting idea. Now, the only problem is coming up with all that content.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
So that's what I was thinking. Maybe at least if we did, this time zone, which works for EMEA-ish, right, relatively, and then the APJ time. At least that's 2 sessions. And I agree with you that we put everything up on YouTube. I just want to keep it. I want to try to get as much interactivity and get the opportunity for people to ask questions and stuff. And I know that they can post, comments on YouTube or email us or whatever. But that's something to mull over. I guess if we did 3. Yeah. Anyway, interesting. So
I have one further question for you on this as well. So for anybody that is either new or not actually signed up yet, how do they find out about the schedule? Where is that?
So the current schedule that I've been putting it is so there's a couple places, and one I need to update. One is on my blog page at vcloudbat.com, and the reason I put it there is because I can control that and edit it very easily. It's also on the Twitch page. There, if you go to the events tab, all of them are listed there. We are part of the onboarding email includes an invite to these as well, to the office hours. And the new migration hub that we're coming out with quickly is has a link there as well. So there's a few places. I try to tweet it out. I agree with you that we're working with marketing to try to get out there. So we actually have a question in the chat here. So quick question. I'm new to sysadmin stuff. You just installed 2012 R2 on a VM through VM Workstation. You want a good project to start on. That's actually a good question. So I guess the question back to you there, I think it's Doroki, if I'm pronouncing that right, is are you trying to learn the virtualization side of it, or are you trying to learn the Windows side of it, or both? Because the concepts in Workstation are a little bit different than vCenter. I mean, it gives you the good overview of what a virtual machine is and how to manipulate it, but I wouldn't call Workstation an enterprise-y product. I don't know if that will assist in the sysadmin role. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Will? I think it's good.
Sure, yeah, I agree. I think having something like Workstation for the PC or Fusion for the Mac give great amount of flexibility to spin up virtual machines and have a play, and actually almost build a small lab for fairly small amounts of money, but it doesn't give you access to the enterprise grade tools that say vCenter Server would. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good intro, and gives you the ability. I mean, you could spin up the full enterprise stack with trial licenses for, is it 60 days you get them for? So you could deploy ESX and you could deploy vCenter Server on VM Workstation and then run some virtual machines within. So you could build yourself an AD domain and maybe a few client server sort of relationships up that way.
Yeah, so though I think that's an extremely valid thing I was going to mention. Yeah, so I would look at the 60. And by the way, congratulations on the Network Plus. I think I still have an A Plus cert and a Server Plus. I never got the Network Plus.
Is it still valid?
I think it is, oddly enough, even though it was like 15 years ago I got it. I don't know how those. They were asking me questions like, remember when you used to have to change the jumpers on cards to get the IRQ settings?
Wow.
Right. Anyway, that's way back. Anyway, dating myself here, but yeah, I think what Will said is perfectly right. So I would take the 60-day free trial. You can use Workstation. You can virtualize ESX and vCenter within it, which gives you a chance to A, set up ESX, B, set up vCenter, and get to play with all of those the enterprise level stuff. And that will give you a really good feel and give you some experience in setting it up and some of the stuff you would do with it. So to me, that would be kind of the first project I could think that would probably help you a lot is, install vCenter Server in Workstation, install an ESX host in Workstation, preferably depending on the size of your workstation. having more than one ESX host will enable you to play with some of the more advanced features.
There are some, depending how good your automation skills are as well, with things like PowerShell. There are a few lab builders out there as well. So you could try the manual route a couple of times, building out an environment, and then if you find you're sort of building it and running into problems and having to rebuild, or you're building it and tearing it down to try something else, you can absolutely go and find one of these automation tools that, and then just sort of build out a lab for you. So long as you've got the capacity and the memory and all the relevant ISO files, and that will then speed up your development time. I found in the early days I was burning a lot of time just rebuilding or upgrading labs if I hadn't used it for a while. So they're quite useful.
Yeah, so I think that's a fantastic thing. Depending on and I think that actually that working on these skills for PowerShell as well will help a lot with the sysadmin part of what you're looking for as well, because a lot of fairly common sysadmin tasks can be automated with PowerShell to make your life a lot easier. So you can kind of hit a lot of birds with one stone there. Is what I think would be a fantastic way of learning. So hopefully that kind of answered the question a little bit. It's been a while since I've gone back and kind of thought about things from the new perspective, but I'm glad somebody is following in the footsteps and starting out that way. And
Just as a non sort of VMware side note, one of the things I remember doing when I had a domain to play with was playing around with group policy and seeing how it affected both the client and the servers. And obviously, this is not something you want to do in a live environment. So having a small lab and putting down some really restrictive group policy objects is quite a fun thing to do, just to learn how they interact.
yeah, I used to do the opposite with group policy, changing all the lockdown stuff that stopped me from doing stuff. But and just for your awareness there, Dorky, I actually still run my lab in Workstation on my PC. I have a pretty powerful PC at home, a little bit of a gamer as well on the side. We and Will share that in common. And I'm not one of those guys like members of our team like Z House that has a data center in his house, essentially. So there's absolutely pretty much everything you could do in a physical lab you can do with a Workstation. It just again it depends on it depends on how beefy your box is and how much storage you have available, and obviously SSDs are recommended if you have bigger SSDs. And usually what I hit still, even though I have 64 gigs of memory, is the memory side starts to pin on me once I got 3 hosts running and a bunch of VMs under those hosts. So but yeah, it's absolutely a perfect way of doing it. Another thing that it was actually, I'm going to name her up here. Duncan Epping gave us an answer in one of the panels we did together for the VCDX side of the house, where to help him learn stuff, he took a look at like our forums. I think they're still called VMTN, aren't they? Or
Yep. Yeah.
So our VMware forums where guys had posed questions like, how do I do this? Or I'm having issues with that. And going through and trying to figure it out and help them was a way that he facilitated a lot of his learning. And I thought that was actually a fantastic...
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Good idea to, because, a lot of times, like you're saying, or you kind of set it up, you look at it and you go, okay, now what do I do? Without kind of a use case, it's difficult, but you just go to the forums, and then you can also go to the Windows forums and say, hey, see other problems people are having, and then just trying to figure your way through it yourself. And I think it's a really, really good way of learning. And I think that we still do a point system on our forums. I don't know if we still do that.
Yeah, I think so. As moderators, as in people that respond to questions.
Yeah, so if you respond to a question and you kind of get the right answer, you can get points for it and work your way up. Which that would back in my earlier days, I thought that was kind of novel. I got up to, I don't know, I can't remember what it was, Hot Shot or something like that, and just a little perk to go along with it. But I found that was great advice to, when you're kind of trying to struggle with okay, now I got it all running, now what do I do? So hopefully that helped. It's been, like I said, for me, it's been a while since I've gone back in that realm. I've been trying to stay away from being a sysadmin, but some days it feels kind of like I am again. But yeah. So another thing I wanted to cover today, and feel free to ask more questions, Rogi, or ask if there's any clarification need. But one of the other things I wanted to cover today around VMware Cloud that kind of came up this weekend for me is there is a checkbox that I don't think a lot of people know about in VMware Cloud here, and it's actually in the organization. And you go to Identity and Access Management. And I'm going to pick on Mandy, our Epic Award winner here, because she's actually just an organization member, not a owner. So an owner already automatically has these roles, but there's this little checkbox for support user. And essentially that checkbox allows people to open up tickets under this organization. And if that box is not checked, it's difficult to be able to open one up when you have to call our support line on the weekends when we don't have chat support active. During the week, 24/5 during the week, chat support is here on the right side of the screen. You can see here, you can just click it. And I don't know why we use like stock photos as opposed to when you click on it, you actually get their pictures, but I don't know why in the actual support it's a stock photo. But anyway, so when that's not available, if you don't have this checkbox, your life will be hard. And I don't know if we've communicated this. And I know, Andy, I think it was said that you put this as part of the onboarding now, but there is, I think, a lot of customers that may not have gotten that. Can you clarify that for me, Andy? Is it actually in that onboarding now, this support user?
So yeah, it is something that CSMs, when walking folks through the actual console for support, and inviting and enabling user permissions within the organization is part of explaining the roles. It is in fact called out for that, for our onboarding guide, to explain the differences between a support user having the designation of that checkbox is the way that permission to allow that actual user to engage support via support requests.
So that's good. So it should be part of the process now. I know before that, there was a large amount of customers that possibly came in without that guidance. And I know personally that I didn't even necessarily knew that this checkbox existed, which is on me. But
it was a change that happened not too long ago, and I don't believe it was communicated out as the change happened. And we've gone ahead and modified our onboarding walkthrough to include specific instruction around that. Additional help is available in the help guide for context around that checkbox when inviting users as well.
Could you just clarify for everyone as well, Matt, whether the support user then limits your ability to access chat or just to directly open a call as yourself?
No, so that's actually a good question.
I want to say it's the ability to open up an SR.
Yeah, I don't think it affects chat. I know of many. So again, this weekend I was working with a customer this weekend on some support issues that actually, I'll put my caveat in there, had nothing to do with us at the end of the day, but we at VMware support, and I gotta say the VMware support is phenomenal. We worked with them and actually gave them kind of the root cause, even though it wasn't us, and the guidance to go and fix it. Great stuff. But I know that particular customer has been able to open chat support. So I don't think that this affects chat support in any way, shape, or form. I think it's just, yes, so there is a support center here. And I'm not sure if I actually go into one of our SDDCs and go through that way. There is a way kind of to open it online that links to your My VMware account. And if that box isn't checked, you don't see the VMC option, which means you don't show an entitlement, which means you can't open an SR. So, yeah. So I think it's just particular to, actually using the phone to call GSS or using the online form is my understanding. And the thing is, I can't really test because I'm the organization owner for this, which automatically gets that. So,
do you want to change my rights, and I'll just have a quick look?
Let's take a look. Sure.
Just kill me.
Oh, this will be enjoyable.
Don't forget to put me back again.
All right, where are you in here? We have a lot of users in ours.
I'll be near the end.
It's interesting it sorts it by first name, but that's okay. So let's edit your roles. Let's make you an organization member, and now you no longer have the support user option. We'll hit save. Okay. So now Will can go and test.
Right.
And we have Marion joining us from our support team as well, who may be able to answer some questions around support as well. But another thing for Doroki, if you're still on, I think we still have a 30-day free trial for VMware Cloud as well for a one node, which is something you may want to look at. I think there's if you look at our page, there's a barcode at the bottom that you can hit, which sets you up this VMC environment that's got everything in it already, so you can start hitting a few of the buttons. It's probably not necessarily the best experience to learn vSphere because we lock a lot of stuff away, but if you wanted to just play with the new hot stuff, this is where it's at.
Also, giving a shout out to Hands On Labs as well, Matt.
Oh, Hands On Labs, yeah.
Full deploys of all of our software, so you can select by technology type, and they are generally either part provisioned or fully provisioned, and then with some sort of lab guided exercises to walk through.
Yeah, so if you just go to hol.vmware.com, it forwards you to here. You log in, and yeah, there's a lot of content in here. And I think it's free to everybody, right? You don't need to have a VM World. No, I think it's just free to everybody.
Yeah, free to everybody.
Yeah, you just need to log in and register here at the top. And you can, like I said, there is a lot of stuff in here that you can go through. There's a VMware on AWS Lightning Lab. I wonder what that is. Oh, look at that. Easy way to learn about VMware products as little as 30 minutes.
There you go.
I might have to take that. So we're just waiting for Will here to check his...
Yeah, I think I'm just signing back out and back in. I think that it...
Yeah, you need to sign out and sign back in.
No,
Yeah.
I was out already. I think it was just... I might have signed in too quickly. It still thinks I was an admin, I think. Have we got some elevator music we can play?
You know what? I need to get some sound effects. I wanted to add the badoom. I had that somewhere for when you and Mike are on the call, so yeah. I can emphasize the jokes. But I mean, we can sing if you wanted to.
There's a reason you're in technology as a career, Matt.
Well, you know, maybe it's just I haven't applied myself to my singing career. Will, have you ever thought about that? You know.
When he's not doing this, he's reviewing Minecraft and Fortnite professionally.
I try to stay away from those games. My kids play. You know what's actually sad? And here's some nice filler for while Will's working on this is my daughter has a win in Fortnite and I still do not. And my daughter's strategy for Fortnite is to hide in a bush. Like that's the entire strategy. She just kind of hides in there up until.
All I heard you say is your daughter has a winning strategy and you don't.
That's true. I mean, I don't play a lot of Fortnite just because I got teenagers at home that tell me off and off that I don't need to do that in my recreational time. But
yeah, so I can still open chat. By the way, I just got back in.
Okay, perfect. So it looks like the support user has nothing to do with chat support, which is good. We're still examining potentially doing 24/7 support, but that's kind of a more down the road thing. So definitely, I'm going to go and fix Will's account before I forget. He gets angry. But it's definitely something to note, especially for people that I know that a lot of guys are doing their work on weekends. And to be able to open a support ticket, that's something that should be looked at absolutely. I'm actually going to put, I think, a blog article up about this on my website blog today, going over that as well, just in case people are having some challenges. Like I said, that even I was fighting this weekend. But at the end of the day, like I said, we got an SRE on the call, which is our site recovery engineer, or site reliability engineers, which like I said, greatly assisted. I love the VMware support stuff, and I don't see Marion in my chat. Were you not on shift here, Marion, or what's going on? Or are you just on a call already? I was going to go say hi to you on chat support and see what was going on. But I really didn't have much else.
Hi, Matt.
Hello, Marion.
I'm not sure if my picture is there, but
It's not on here right now.
oh, come on.
By the way, Rohit, I think, needs to center this. His head looks really small.
Yeah, but you can say hi, and I will quickly reply to you.
No, that's okay. Actually, are you in here?
Just a small stress to my colleagues, they are already hammered by the chats.
Yeah, no, the chat support is phenomenal, and I know that I'm a big part of your guys' problem of whenever customers ask me about as opposed to waiting for me for a response for something around the firewall or VPN, just open chat support, ask them, and they'll give an answer. We've got nothing but good reviews from the chat support. It's mostly when we have the non-chat support that we run into little issues like the support user checkbox stuff and all of the other fun times we potentially have.
I want to highlight here that the chat for MSP, it is not, if I understood well, this is the right abbreviation, MSP or MST or
it's MSP, managed service provider.
MSP, yeah, managed service provider. So for just to highlight that for some users, the chat is not available.
Yeah, and that's
we have already a matrix with chat permission with help desk support already in a list.
Yeah, and just to add to that, and Marion's exactly right. So the managed service provider method is for our partners that are offering the management of this service on behalf of customers. So obviously, they're the first line of support for it. They also have a back channel to get to our CSE and SREs. But yeah, so if you're going through an MSP, yeah, your support experience will look different than this, which is kind of our standard offering, I guess, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I didn't have much else today. It's good that we kind of got some questions in the chat, and we're definitely going to more for more questions in the chat. Like I said, we're going to be doing this 3 times a week. We're here for any kinds of migration questions or technology questions. M6 is now rolling out. Actually, M6P1 is now rolling out, which is starting our V to T migrations. Which is going to be an exciting time for all of us, I'm sure.
And where can I find, Matt, as an end user, where can I find what's included in each of the features? So M6 you mentioned there. You mentioned M6. What does M6 actually mean?
So M6 is actually that nomenclature is going away. So we used to use M stand for milestone. So we are or major, depending on how you really want to do. But it's the 6th major release. Or 6th major update of our base stack since we offered the product roughly a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer than a year and a half ago. So it's the 6th major release. In there were some changes. I covered this last week. There were some functionality increases to site recovery. There were some changes made to some of the networking stack. So we still have M7. So I think M7 maybe, which is around the VMworld time frame, I think is when it's releasing. It's going to probably be the last one that goes under the M designation. I think we're going to more of a time-based nomenclature. So like Q3 FY20 or something like that to put more of a time to it as opposed to a just an
Correct. We're aligning to the Dell fiscal calendar year for release cycles. So, starting February, March, April is Q1, and then,
Well, I think February 1st is the start of our fiscal year.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
So we're already talking FY20. So you'll hear us refer to FY20. That doesn't mean next year. We're actually in FY20 now. So, and I know that obviously always gets a little bit confusing, but that's a good clarification point. And that's why we bring Andy around. I'm actually looking for the page. So we do have a update page for VMware Cloud that goes over everything, kind of what's new. One of the features that I'm working with engineering right now is we have this little bell here, and really what I want to get done is in here have it listed that, hey, you've been upgraded to M6, or hey, M6 has been released. Click here just so you have something within the portal to know that something has changed. But that's a work in progress still going on, and then hopefully if people see value to that, that would be good feedback to give me more credence to kind of go into back to our engineering. So our roadmap is publicly available. I know I've brought that up 1,000 times, but there's I can bring that up at least. So
it is always good to, hence me asking the question, it's always good to just flag it to people, because it's often the simple things that people forget about.
Yeah, so here is all. I got scaled, better scroll by here. So all of this is publicly available, so you can see the stuff that just hit, right? So this is brand new stuff that went in. It says February 12th, but it actually just kind of went in with our M6 update. So there's a new connectivity checker for site recovery, custom CPU count, Europe. Paris went in, Central Canada went in, Singapore went in, support for fan in, fan out. So all this stuff is available here. There is actually stuff that you could look at into developing. So this is stuff that we're working on right now. High performance snapshots, chat support for site recovery, some migration assessment, a bunch of other stuff. So you can always see in here everything that's currently going. And just to highlight again, plan means okay, we're thinking about it. We put it on the schedule. Developing means we're actively developing on it. Preview means it's gone to a group of select customers on our side that help us to test through the use cases and such to vet everything out. And then available means available. Anybody can consume it. Now, again, there may be some region locks for some of the available stuff. I know I said last week that APJ or Sydney only had 2 available zones. I was incorrect. It's 3. But there are certain AWS regions that only have 2 availability zones, which means it can't deploy like a stretch cluster. So even though it says available, it's available to everybody, but there might be some restrictions just depending on the AWS data center and the features available there. But, so if you ever have any questions of, where is something on the roadmap, here it is. And if you don't see what you're looking for, again, emails at cloudcs@vmware.com or tweet at me if you have a particular feature request that you need to kind of get onto the platform. Let us know. Right, this is a highly dynamic platform. We can definitely put features in faster than our traditional core vSphere platform traditionally has done. So, never hesitate to give us a feedback, give us your requests, and we'll put them forward to engineering, and we'll take a look at them, see how feasible they are, and if it makes sense, we'll put it in. And I'm just looking for the what's new page, and this is why, like I said, I really want to link it just into the console, because I want to make it as easy for customers to grab it as possible. So, Will, do you have any other questions or?
No, I was just trying to think of questions that people might ask, actually.
I know we have this. I think it's on our docs site, so I'm still kind of just looking for it. Off the screen here. But yeah, so pretty soon here, all of our services are going to be on NSXT. That is the going forward vision. As we mentioned earlier, not familiar with NSXT, Hands-On Labs is a great place to do it. I'm actually not positive the VMware Cloud Lab has been upgraded to the NSXT version. I know that they were looking at it, but I don't know. I don't know if it ever actually got up there, which is something I think we should probably check. But there's definitely a lot of NSXT labs out there that can help.
So Matt, in the release notes of VMware Cloud on AWS, you have a what's new listed by.
Can you? Okay, you drop me that link. Thank you. So this is where we go through everything, like a traditional release notes on, the on-prem kind of stuff. So this just went live just a few weeks ago. Like I said, we added some new regions, network insight support, a few other things as well. So there's definitely, and the link that Will sent me actually has the new highlighted just for my edification. But yeah, so this is a good site, I guess, to bookmark in the meantime until, like I said, we get that updated. And yeah. So we also had Mohammed join us as well. He doesn't have the mic icon, but I'd say hi to him out there as well.
Hi, Mohammed.
But yeah, so again, if everyone has any questions, even like I said, watching this on YouTube. Now, another question, I guess, for the crowd here. So now that I have kind of a good crowd in here, is I've been contemplating, now that we're doing a lot more office hours, maybe not putting these up to YouTube, or do you think there's still value out there to putting these up there?
Do we have a track of where people are watching these more, whether they're watching them on Twitch or YouTube?
So there is definitely more viewership on YouTube by number of, by number of views. So that's what I was kind of putting up there. So I have gone through, for people that have looked at our YouTube before, was kind of a little bit disorganized. So I have added playlists in there. So now you can just, if you just want to watch the webinars, there's a playlist for webinars, there's a playlist for the office hours, there's a playlist for some high-level architectural stuff that Dustin and Paige had done, and the start of an initiative that I'm bothering everybody on the team for, around short videos around particular aspects. So we have one in there right now that a member of the CSC team put together, Mohit I think was put it together, for creating an SDDC, but we want to go through things like short little videos on creating a network segment, or setting up a route-based VPN, or configuring the gateway firewall. So we want to do little chunks of that, which will be going up there. So now that it's a little bit more segmented, I guess there probably, I guess there's no harm in putting it up there. I just didn't want to kind of cloud it with a whole bunch of content necessarily. But I guess that people can always choose what they do want to see and what not to see. And now, like I said, it's a little bit more organized and will continue to be more organized. So, and then people can watch the Rick and Will hour at their leisure, which I'm sure will be highly entertaining.
It's going to be comedy gold and educational all at the same time.
Excellent. I expect absolutely nothing less. So yeah, like I said, and I think that there's going to be a lot of value to people for the short little videos, because I know we've covered a lot of the NSX stuff in kind of one big lump, and there's some good videos on there, or HCX one big lump, but we really want to break it down into more consumable pieces on particular parts. Configuring the direct connect. Yeah, HCX is a very big one that I know a lot of people go through. Even going through the troubleshooting thing, which I'm sure all of our CSEs would love people to do prior to even opening chat support or whatever, just to see potentially where things are being blocked. And you can pick, different use cases here to run some tests to make sure you can hit these things. And if you can't, it's probably a firewall rule or potentially a routing issue or something around that environment.
It's actually, so I'm back on the troubleshooting for a sec there, Matt. It's actually just a useful tool anyway if you're having other problems in your environment. So although it says hybrid link mode or SRM as the use case, just running these might be an indicator for if you're having other issues, especially around connectivity or potential firewalls blocking stuff.
Yeah, and one of the actual thank you for adding that, Will, is one of the big problems that I've seen a lot of times out there now is actually DNS resolution. So
yeah.
So particularly in the cases of hybrid linked mode and some other things. So even if you put in the IP of vCenter, when the vCenter goes to authenticate against its PSC in VMware Cloud, it actually uses the FQDN. So if that doesn't resolve, it will still break, and this will help you find that. So it's kind of back to the very basics, and I like that Dorothy joined in and kind of got our mindset that way. Is that, yeah, you kind of got to go through each of the early steps. You got to make sure your DNS works. You got to make sure firewall rules are there. You got to make sure that the routing is configured, which is a little bit more high end. But just the basics of the DNS and the basic firewall rules is where a lot of customers kind of get stuck. And this will definitely point to that for you, as opposed to, and you can jump on chat right away if you wanted to, but at least this will give you a better basis for the conversation. If you run these tests and they come up, everything looks like it's working fine, but you're still having issues, then, it kind of gets past that first step with support to say, hey, I ran the troubleshooting checker, it all came back good, but I'm still having an issue talking to this network or something around those settings. Another thing to mention while we were on the support kick as well is the support tab is really handy. So this is actually something that we worked with our CSP team on, is that having this org ID and this SEDC ID is handy when you open chat support. I think you guys can look this up if I'm not incorrect, but especially if you're looking at vSphere or looking at opening up a ticket with GSS or anything, having these handy, it's right on support. So if they ask you for your SDDC ID, bam, there it is. You don't have to go looking through anything else or your organization ID. The only other org ID they may ask you for is actually up here, which is actually this org ID, which is handy to have. And Doroki, thanks for coming back. Doroki, I don't know if you caught when we talked about the hands-on labs, which I think I still have open here. Yeah, the hol.vmware.com is a great learning tool. Free to register with, free to log into, and has, I'm pretty sure, almost all of our products, if not all of them, in there to go looking through. So he had a question here. Do you think it would be good to know how to deploy Windows on a user account? Because I just learned to create a user in AD. So, yeah, so I could put this link into chat here as well. I don't know if Windows users can. There gets to be issues with Active Directory around adding computer accounts and stuff like that to AD. And again, it's been a while since I've done my Microsoft stuff. So I don't know if anybody else can answer that better than I can, but I don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess
it's good.
Sorry, jumping in.
I know I asked you to jump in. I was just going to add real quick that there is probably some benefit to looking at things from the user perspective as opposed to the administrator perspective. But we'll add your comments.
Yeah, so obviously with you having workstation and deploying a server, and then I'd then deploy a Windows machine in there as well. You have the ability to, you've created an AD domain, give yourself an account with admin rights, give yourself a user account, and then see what you can do with each account. Obviously, in a large scale enterprise, things like registering a machine against a domain are either done for you when you're given a machine anyway by the IT staff, or systems are set up in a way to self-register. So, for example, I can download a virtual machine from our intranet effectively, and when I boot it up, it's all scripted to join itself to the domain. So typically, an end user wouldn't have rights to join a system to an AD domain, but it all depends on which rights you give yourself in your test domain. If that's not too vague an answer for you.
Yeah, so I think there's definitely value looking at it from the user perspective, and yeah, play around with group policy and see what can and can't be done. But I agree completely with what Will said. Usually, a lot of that stuff is done by administrator level access, and I guess that actually depends a lot on the organization, because some just give away the keys to the kingdom, as it were. But most high-end enterprises have things pretty locked down. So I'm just looking through our labs here on what we have for cloud. Ooh, lots of stuff. Maybe I can learn some stuff today. So the Cloud Provider Program, this is our new partner group now that we've kind of moved organizations. So we have been looking at doing some collaborations with them as well, doing some webinars with them, and going over, because it's a little slightly different experience for the VCPP guys as well as it is with everybody else, especially once we get vCloud Director, the product that never dies, running. I'm still happy that vCloud Director is still around.
Yeah, it's bulletproof. It's what Hands-On Labs runs on, right? So.
Oh, look at that! Andrea had designed this. So I'm kind of curious now. I'm gonna sign in. See if I remember what this is. I'm just curious. I want to kind of go see here. It says via VRT. Oh, I remembered my password. That's actually I'm pretty happy about that. Oh, just start the lab. So, any more questions or Dorgan? Did that answer kind of things for you? Like I said, it's been a long time since I've been a Windows admin. I have an MCSE, but I believe it's in Windows 2000. Yes, my MCSE is in Windows 2000.
It's pretty.
Which, you know
pretty
what?
old, damn it.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't sound that old to me. That's how old I am. Is that 2000 doesn't sound that old.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, with the Microsoft naming conventions for products, most people are still deploying, or only just starting to deploy over 2013 or 2012 or 2016, possibly even. And we're we're halfway through 2019 almost. So it's
I know
stuff dates very quickly, right?
if Windows 2000 isn't that old, what model is your car, Matt?
Actually, well, I have one that's a 2006 that I'm keeping around because my daughters are starting to become driving age, so
It's not quite that old, right?
No, and yeah, and I have a newer one as well. I have a 2016, so I'm not that old, but yeah, but I still, in my mind, it is.
Just like yesterday.
It is just like yesterday. I still remember the Windows the Y2K panic. If any, most of us, I think, were probably around for that. Maybe not Marion and Muhammad. I don't know. They might be too young to have known the fun we all had around Y2K.
Yeah, that was a very fun and certainly not hungover New Year's Day. I think.
But I started with 95. In fact, So in fact, my first it was Windows 3.11.
No, I don't want to play one-upmanship, but I was using OS2 Warp was my first deployment workstation.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I actually I should go through this loud. I actually ran into an OS2 warp box like 10 years ago, which sounds long ago, but that means it was still 20 years or 10 years old at the time I ran into it at oil and gas company that was running some critical application, and everybody was just scared to look at the box, which was kind of funny. All right, I guess I gotta go through the lab guide. Wonder why it has request access here. Anyway, I can sign up for the low price of $5.60 an hour. Interesting. Yeah, no, I think that everybody should have to go through the Y2K thing, the massive panic for what turned out to be relatively nothing.
We're doing something similar in the UK at the moment. It's called Brexit.
But I heard you guys are reneging on that now.
Who knows?
I did see a good post though. You know, it's absolutely paramount, and that the democracy has the ability to change its mind. That's you know, it is absolutely something that is valid. All right, let me follow the guide here. Oh, did I click on that one? Oh, let's find out. I think I signed into this. Maybe it needs to refresh. But yeah, there's any other questions out there? Marion, anything you wanted to discuss? Or Andy? I know, like I said, we're trying to grow a lot of enablement around here to assist customers and in their onboardings. And Am I in the wrong organization?
Okay.
Oh, I'm in the wrong organization. I'm a rookie. Sorry, but Marion, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I just say that you have no access, so we should ask Andy how to make us onboarding here for the Handle Lab.
Onboarding for what?
For Handle Labs.
I'm not even.
We need a guide.
I think I think you have to validate your email account first before starting the environment. I remember I was dealing with a few cases like that in the past.
All right. Anyway, I'll figure this out later, and I'll give
you have
feedback.
to validate your email address because based on the email address, it will get activated. This lab. It is somewhere stated in the beginning.
Oh, I have my mail closed. That's probably why.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one's on me. Yeah. So I have my mail closed, so I don't have pop-ups on the screen.
In the first paragraph, it's please verify your login credential stuff. Yeah. And you have a link module here, so you need to validate there.
Well, that just highlights a really good point, doesn't it? That when you're given instructions, it's really useful to read and follow them.
Nah. Are you saying RTFM? Is that what you're dropping on me?
Just for when you start, and then you can just go hell for leather.
Anywho, all right. So I can't open that up right now, but
in fact, I can say that this about 30% of our customers coming on chat.
Yeah, and there's some stuff around billing and subscriptions that I think also gets some people.
I heard it was 100% of customers coming to talk to you in chat because you're pretty popular and well known, Marion.
Oh, no, not with me. I'm not popular at all. I am the one that the one that it's sending the people back to the documentation and read carefully. You know,
Oh, there's even
I'm the
a
bad guy there.
bookmark for it. Oh, I did this already, didn't I?
Yeah. So this is the face you let me see properly in the beginning.
Read the guide. Anyway, we got 5 minutes left for any last minute questions or last minute comments.
Are you sure I can make comments?
You can make, well, there's a child friendly stream, Andy, just to clarify. Hey, I wonder if I
Yeah.
can open support here.
You guys are beyond awesome. This was highly entertaining and informative. Happy to help support. If you guys want to do any specific content or sessions with me, presenting anything, by all means, just let me know and let's add me to the calendar. This is fun.
That sounds like a good idea, Andy. Thanks for the offer.
Anyway, I'm done fighting with that for now. I just wanted to verify if it actually is the NSXT build or not. So I think with that, thank you again, Andy, for the kind words. Like Will said, that's great. I know our CSM teams, which Andy's not a part of right now, just switching gears a little, is going to be advertising these office hours out there more for anybody to come in, or anybody on Twitch like Hiroki came. That just ask us any questions. We're here to help on really any aspect of VMware. We try to keep it particular to the VMware Cloud offering, but we're here anyway, and we could definitely answer questions and hopefully provide some value. The next session will be tomorrow, UK time. What do we say? 10 a.m., 2 a.m. Pacific time, if anybody's going to be up late and can't sleep. And then we're going to have Thursdays APJ, and then next week we're going to have a more formal webinar for an update for HCX, because HCX that Prasanna did with us back in October, I think it was, is our most viewed video on YouTube, and there's been a significant amount of changes in the product since we did that. So we're going to do a refresher and a catch up on what's new and stuff like that. And we're hopefully going to be, like I said, putting together a lot more content into our YouTube page for configuring stuff like HCX and more consumable little bits. So like I said, that's next week. Any suggestions for any webinars in the future, tweet at me at vcloudmatt or at Will Rodbard, or email us at cloudcs@vmware.com. There is a recurring Zoom invite. There is events on the Twitch page as well for you to be able to be reminded of the upcoming sessions if you want to join them weekly and ask the questions and those kinds of things. So we're trying to be as available as you, and I do appreciate everybody jumping in. I really appreciate Hiroki asking us some questions. Again, we're here for you. I appreciate everybody's time. I appreciate Marion, Will, Andy, and Mohammed dropping by. So I'm not talking to myself for an hour, which I've done in the past, which is probably a lot less entertaining for people as well. But again, thanks you, everybody. I really need to figure out some kind of closer that's better for the stream, like vCloud Matt out or something, but that's kind of cheesy.
Thank you, Matt. It's always a pleasure to listen to you,
Hey,
to hear you.
Incentive for us all to join next week's call. You'll be setting up a poll for all of us to pick your new name.
There you go. I should put that up there. Yeah, pick my closer. Anyway.
And by the way, for one of the next session, we should include also Horizon with VMC Cloud.
Absolutely. So we are seeing a lot of pickup on Horizon. Thank you, Marion. That's a great one. I will write that down now. We'll probably do that one right after the HCX one because we do have quite a few customers now. Because to me, I think that's
I start a lot of preparation for that, but it's still the early beginning. So
I think it's a fantastic use case for VMware Cloud. The Horizon stuff, being able to deliver desktops closer potentially to your users around the world. Highly scalable, so you're not paying for all the hardware all the time. Anyway, I could go on for that. Let's save it for a webinar, so We can
Sure.
keep the content there. And maybe we'll bring you in on that one, Marion. That'd be great. And maybe grab somebody from the Horizon side. So, again, see, that's how easy it is. Suggest a topic, we'll put it in.
Sure.
And yeah, again, everybody, thank you for your time. Will and Rick will hopefully be on tonight, my time, tomorrow, UK time for the EMEA hours. And if you're in the Americas, again, yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Sure.
Bye. Bye for now.